Once upon a time, on a quiet, breezy evening, little Elara found herself sneaking out of her cozy house to visit the ancient tree at the edge of her garden. The air was cool and crisp, the kind of night that whispered secrets through the rustling leaves. The garden, normally still, now danced with shadows and soft breezes. Elara, her curiosity as wide as the night sky, couldn't resist. She tiptoed toward the Whispering Willow, its twisted, knotted branches swaying gently in the breeze. The tree had always fascinated her with its ancient, wise presence, and tonight, something about it seemed different, alive almost. Elara could hear it, though it was impossible to say exactly how. Was it the wind? Or was it the tree itself calling out? The whispers had always been faint, like a soft murmur barely catching the ear. But tonight it felt stronger, almost as if the tree itself wanted to share its secret. As Elara settled beneath its thick canopy, she closed her eyes, letting the sounds of the night fill her senses. The willow swayed around her, its bark rough and familiar, but the air felt warm and welcoming, like a soft hug. Then, as if to confirm her thoughts, the branches of the willow moved closer, curling gently around her shoulders. The night seemed to breathe with her. It was time to listen closely. The tree, which had always been there, had a story to tell. The wind shifted ever so slightly, and Elara felt the tree's ancient voice reach her ears, not through words but in the soft rustling of its leaves. "Shoo!" it seemed to whisper. "Quiet now, little one. Only the stillest hearts can hear my stories." Elara's breath slowed as she settled deeper into the embrace of the willow's branches. Her usual chatter faded, and in the stillness, she could almost hear the faint flutter of leaves brushing together, like the fluttering pages of an old book. She tilted her head, waiting. The branches swayed gently again, and this time, the whispers felt like a quiet invitation, beckoning her to listen closely. "Do you hear it?" the tree asked in a voice that was both soft and powerful. "The stars are talking tonight, Elara. Their voices, just beneath the clouds." Elara's eyes widened with curiosity. The idea of stars talking was a mystery she had never thought to solve before. She loved the stars, of course, but never had she imagined they might have stories to tell, like the trees or the wind. "They are hiding, little one, shy as can be," the willow continued. "But if you listen carefully, you will hear them twinkling their soft dreams into the night sky." Elara's heart skipped a beat. She leaned in closer to the tree, her breath now in perfect rhythm with the rustling branches. The willow's voice wrapped around her like a warm blanket, inviting her to hear the secrets that danced in the sky. As Elara listened, the air around her seemed to shimmer, as if the very stars above were stretching down to touch the earth. The willow's branches swayed more gently now, as if dancing to a rhythm only they could hear. "Close your eyes, Elara," the willow whispered, "and let the breeze carry you to where the stars are hiding." Elara obeyed, her eyelids fluttering shut, her senses sharpening as the world around her grew quieter and more peaceful. The soft rustle of leaves filled her ears. The familiar scent of earth and bark wrapped her in comfort. In this moment, everything felt timeless, as if she were part of the ancient story the tree had kept for centuries. She felt the night air grow colder, but not in an uncomfortable way. More like a cool breath that brushed her skin just to remind her that she was here, in the presence of something magical. "The stars," the willow continued, "are not so different from you. They too need rest after a long day of shining." Elara's mind swirled with this new idea. The stars, those bright, faraway jewels in the sky, needed rest? But how could something so bright and beautiful ever feel tired? The willow seemed to read her thoughts, and with a gentle sway of its branches it said, "But even the stars have their quiet moments, Elara. Just like you after a busy day, they retreat to rest and dream." She let this thought settle in her heart, a sense of wonder blooming within her. The willow had opened a door to a secret world, one she never thought possible. The soft wind picked up again, brushing Elara's face with a chill that felt just like the first breath of evening. She opened her eyes, looking up at the sky as the willow's voice guided her thoughts. Through the shifting clouds she saw them, twinkling shy lights peeking through, just barely visible. The stars weren't hiding exactly, but they were being careful, as if reluctant to shine too brightly. "You see," the willow murmured, "they've been awake all day, shining and watching over us. But now they are tired, hiding behind the clouds to rest before they return to their duties." Elara's eyes followed the gentle dance of the clouds as they moved across the sky, covering and uncovering the sleepy stars. She watched, fascinated by the way the stars glimmered just out of sight, their soft glimmers like little whispers in the night. "Do they all hide?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper, as if speaking louder might disturb their delicate rest. "Not all," the willow replied, its branches swaying softly as if in a quiet chuckle. "Some stars, like the moon, keep watch through the night, helping guide the way for those who are lost in the dark. But most stars," the willow continued with a gentle sigh, "need their time to rest too. They've worked hard all day, making sure the night sky is as bright and beautiful as possible." Elara blinked up at the sky, marveling at the thought. Even the stars, the most wondrous thing she could imagine, needed a break. The willow's voice grew softer, like a lullaby carried on the breeze. "When stars rest, they rest as you do," it said, its branches gently swaying over Elara's head. They tucked themselves behind the clouds, and for a while, they let the quietness of the night cradle them. They don't worry about shining or about being seen. They simply sleep, just like the leaves on the trees, the birds in their nests, and even the flowers that close their petals. Elara imagined it now, each tiny star floating high above, curling up like a little sleeping creature. She smiled softly, her eyes half closed as the peaceful thought wrapped itself around her heart. The idea that even the stars needed rest made her feel closer to them, like they were no longer unreachable dots in the sky, but gentle, tired companions. "Do they dream too?" she asked, her voice barely a murmur, as if she were afraid of waking the stars from their slumber. The willow's branches rustled thoughtfully. "Ah yes, stars dream too. They dream of the adventures they've had during the day, shining over forests, oceans, cities, and fields. And in their dreams, they rest in the softest of places, the clouds." Elara thought about it. The stars so far away had their own dreams. Perhaps they dreamed of the places they had seen, the stories they could never fully tell. Maybe in their dreams they could rest without the pressure of being perfect, free from the task of lighting up the night sky. As Elara's mind wandered through the idea of the stars' dreams, the willow's voice returned, gentle and comforting. "Stars are not so different from us, Elara. When they need to sleep, the clouds are their soft, billowy beds. The sky becomes a blanket, and the stars nestle into it, floating gently through the night, tucked in by the gentle winds." Elara let her eyes drift upward again, following the clouds as they moved lazily across the sky, covering and uncovering the stars. She imagined the clouds, soft as cotton, enveloping the stars one by one, creating cozy nooks for them to rest. The thought made her smile. She always loved the clouds, but now, knowing that they were keeping the stars safe and comfortable as they slept, she loved them even more. "The clouds," the willow whispered, "are not just for hiding the stars. They help carry them too. Without the clouds, the stars would have no soft place to land when they grow tired. The clouds catch them when they fall, cradling them as they rest before they rise again." Elara nodded slowly, feeling a deep sense of peace settle over her. The willow's words were like a soft melody, guiding her into a world of imagination where the stars were not distant, untouchable lights, but gentle travelers who needed rest just like everyone else. The wind began to calm, and the night around her seemed to grow softer, as if it too was falling into a peaceful slumber. The willow's voice hummed softly in Elara's ears, as if it were carrying the last traces of a song, gentle and serene. Each star, the willow continued, has a story to tell before it rests. When they finally settle down behind the clouds, they share their tales with one another, whispering softly across the sky. Elara's eyes fluttered closed as she imagined the stars' hushed voices, exchanging stories of all the wonders they had witnessed during the day. Maybe one star had danced with the moon, while another had witnessed the beauty of a faraway ocean. Some stars, the willow said, even share stories with the wind, who carries them far and wide. The wind, Elara thought, was like the storyteller of the night, spreading the dreams of the stars to places Elara would never see. The thought filled her with wonder. The stars' dreams, carried by the wind, might touch lands beyond her imagination, creating ripples of magic in places she could never dream of. A small sigh escaped Elara's lips as she leaned back, nestled deeper into the crook of the tree's branches. The warmth of the willow's words wrapped around her like a blanket, and she felt her own eyelids grow heavy. "Every twinkle you see," the willow whispered, "is the story of a star finding its way to rest. It's a secret, a soft whisper that travels across the night, reaching those who are listening like you." Elara smiled sleepily, her thoughts drifting as she let the night's magic settle gently over her. As Elara settled deeper into the soft embrace of the willow's branches, the tree began to tell her a special story, one that had been whispered by the stars for centuries. "Let me tell you about Olo," the willow murmured, "the very first star who didn't know how to rest." Elara's curiosity stirred, and she listened closely, her heart filled with the magic of the tale. "Olo," the willow continued, "was the first star to ever appear in the night sky. For many nights, it shone brightly, lighting up the sky with its radiant glow. But Olo never stopped, couldn't. It felt that if it ever dimmed, even for a moment, it would be forgotten." Elara frowned a little, thinking about how much pressure Olo must have felt to always shine. She could understand the feeling of wanting to keep going, never wanting to stop. But she also knew, from the way the willow spoke, that there was something important missing from Olo's story. One night, the willow went on, after Olo had shone brighter than ever before, the star began to feel tired. Not just tired but weary. Its light flickered, its edges blurred, and it couldn't keep the same bright shine. It tried to push through to keep shining, but it was no use. Olo had forgotten how to rest. Elara's eyes widened as she thought of how tired Olo must have been. The star had worked so hard, never stopping to rest, and now it was burning out. But then, the willow said with a smile in its voice, "Olo met a leaf." "A leaf?" Elara asked, intrigued. "Yes, a single leaf, floating from a tree like the one you're resting under now." The leaf whispered to Olo, "It's okay to rest. You're not forgotten when you rest. You shine brighter when you sleep." Elara's heart swelled with warmth as the willow's tale unfolded, each word soft as the wind. Olo listened to the leaf, uncertain at first but willing to try. The willow continued, its branches swaying as if in memory. And so, Olo dimmed its light, slowly, carefully, and tucked itself behind a cloud, letting the soft coolness of the night cradle it. Elara imagined the tiny star nestled gently behind the cloud, its once brilliant light softened, like a flickering candle resting in a quiet corner. For the first time, the willow whispered, Olo allowed itself to rest. The leaf stayed close, guarding it while the star slept. The wind hummed softly as the willow spoke, as if it too were recalling the star's first peaceful slumber. Olo's sleep was deep and still, and when the star awoke, it was brighter than ever. It had learned that rest wasn't a weakness. It was a strength. Elara thought about this, her fingers gently tracing the rough bark of the willow as she imagined the star, now glowing even more brilliantly than before. Olo had found something important. Rest wasn't the end, it was the beginning of something more beautiful. The lesson Olo learned, the willow's voice became a soft murmur, was that sometimes to shine your brightest, you need to rest first. Just like the stars, like the trees, and like you, little one. Elara smiled softly at the tree's wisdom, feeling the weight of the night's peace settle around her. She understood now. Rest wasn't a luxury. It was necessary for greatness. The willow's branches rustled once more, and Elara felt the tree's warmth in the air around her, as if it were embracing her with its wisdom. You see, Elara, the stars are not the only ones who need rest. Every night, the stars stretch and yawn, much like you do after a long day. They grow weary of shining, and they, too, need time to recharge before they can rise again to light the sky. Elara tilted her head, imagining the stars stretching and yawning as if they were tired little creatures. She could almost picture them wiggling their shining toes and stretching their glowing arms, ready to snuggle into their cozy cloud beds. It made her giggle softly. The stars, the willow continued, are not only made of light, but of stories and dreams. They are so full of adventure, so full of wonder that sometimes they forget to rest. But once they do, once they curl up and take a break, they find the energy to shine brighter and share even more of their stories with the world. Elara let the willow's words sink deep into her heart. She had always thought that the stars were just there, shining, without a care in the world. But now she saw them in a new light. They, too, had their moments of exhaustion, their quiet pauses between bursts of brilliance. The stars weren't just distant, untouchable lights. They were like her, and they needed rest to keep their magic alive. I suppose we all need our rest, don't we? Elara murmured, looking up at the sky, where the stars twinkled softly behind the clouds. Yes, little one, the willow whispered. Even the stars know that rest is part of every great adventure. Elara snuggled deeper into the willow's embrace, feeling the gentle sway of the branches as the tree's words wrapped around her like a cozy blanket. She had always believed that stars were untouchable, unreachable, mysterious, perfect beings who could never grow tired. But now, with the willow's stories swirling in her mind, she realized that the stars, just like her, had their moments of exhaustion. They do, the willow whispered, its leaves rustling like a lullaby. And that's what makes them special. They are not made to burn forever without rest. They are meant to shine brightly, then rest so that they can rise again, renewed and full of wonder. Elara's eyelids fluttered, the peaceful rhythm of the willow's voice lulling her into a state of drowsy contentment. As the branches swayed above her, she thought of the stars, their soft twinkles hidden behind the clouds, their dreams drifting across the sky. She imagined them resting, just as she had done after a long day of playing and learning. The stars were like her. They needed to sleep to grow stronger, to be able to rise and shine again tomorrow. You too, little one, the willow said, as if reading her thoughts. You too are meant to rest. The day is long, and tomorrow will bring new wonders. But for now, it is time for you to close your eyes and let the night embrace you. The night air grew cooler, the sound of the rustling leaves turning into a soft, soothing hum. Elara yawned, her body beginning to feel heavier with sleep. She felt safe and warm, nestled beneath the willow's comforting branches. The wind gently brushed her cheek, as if it were tucking her in for the night. Elara's breath slowed as the quiet night wrapped itself around her. The willow's soft whispers filled the air, weaving a peaceful lullaby. The leaves seemed to hum with each breath of the wind, the soft rustling like a gentle song that belonged to the world itself. She could feel herself drifting, the edges of her thoughts blurring as she sank into a peaceful calm. The stars twinkled softly above, their sleepy voices quiet in the distance. Listen closely, Elara, the willow murmured, and you'll hear the stars' secret snore. Elara chuckled softly, imagining the idea of a star snoring, its light flickering in time with its dreamy breaths. She closed her eyes tighter, the image of sleepy stars warming her heart. The willow's branches swayed more gently now, rocking her like a child in a cradle, its leaves singing a lullaby only the night could understand. As the night deepened, Elara felt herself becoming one with the peaceful sky. She could almost feel the rhythm of the stars' soft snores echoing through the air, a gentle reminder that rest was a part of everything, an essential piece of the world, as natural as the wind that kissed her face. And then, as if to confirm her thoughts, the willow whispered one last secret. "You are a part of this sky, Elara. Just like the stars, just like the tree, you are part of the magic that makes the world turn." Elara's heart swelled with the beauty of the thought. She was not just a listener to the stories of the stars. She was part of them, part of the grand, quiet adventure of the night. The gentle embrace of the willow's branches cradled Elara, and she felt as though she were being rocked by the rhythm of the night itself. The whispers of the tree were becoming softer, each word a breath, guiding her toward sleep. Her body grew heavier, her eyelids sinking lower with each passing moment. The world around her was quiet, save for the soft rustling of leaves and the distant twinkle of the stars, who were now tucked away in their cloud beds. Elara felt her body relax further into the crook of the tree, as if she were becoming part of the landscape itself, rooted, connected to the earth and the sky. She imagined the willow's roots stretching deep into the soil, holding her steady and safe, while its branches reached up, cradling her in the same embrace the stars would feel when they rested in their cloud beds. For the first time, Elara realized that she didn't need to worry. The world was full of stories. Stories like the ones the stars shared with the wind, the stories the willow whispered to her. And while she was part of this beautiful, endless cycle of rest and renewal, she too had her own place in it. "The stars will be here tomorrow," the willow murmured, its voice now barely more than a soft sigh in the night air. "They will shine for you again, Elara, and they will share more of their dreams." Elara nodded, her breathing slow and steady, the peaceful weight of sleep finally claiming her. The last thing she remembered was the soft hum of the willow's leaves and the feeling of warmth that spread through her, like the comforting glow of a sleepy star. As Elara drifted deeper into her dreams, she could feel the weight of the world gently lifting off her shoulders, as if the willow itself was lifting her into the air. The soft twinkling of the stars became more distant, fading into the background as her thoughts melted away. In the distance, a star slipped from its resting place behind the clouds, falling gently like a dream shared between friends. It streaked across the sky, its glow soft but vibrant, just like the memories of the stories the willow had told her. Elara felt herself weightless, floating with the star, cradled by the peaceful night. The wind carried her, swirling her thoughts with the dream of the stars. It was as if she were no longer a part of the earth but woven into the very fabric of the night sky. She could see the stars, their bright eyes closed in deep sleep, and in that moment she understood they were just like her. They needed rest to shine again. A soft, distant sigh passed through the air, the kind that only a star could make. It felt comforting, as if the very night was sighing along with her, offering a quiet reassurance. "Rest now, little one," the willow whispered again, its voice becoming even softer, as if it were fading into the gentle rhythm of the world. "The stars will always be here, and so will I. We are always with you." Elara felt her mind settle into the most peaceful quiet. The willow's words wrapped around her like a final, comforting lullaby, and she surrendered to the calm. The clouds gently shifted above, and she felt herself drifting with them, carried by the same winds that rocked the stars to sleep. In the quiet of her dream, Elara felt a soft rustling, like the turning of a page in an ancient magical book. The stars, now fully asleep behind their blankets of clouds, seemed to shimmer with the memory of the stories they had shared. The willow's branches swayed once more, though Elara could no longer see them. She could feel them in the space between her thoughts, gently guiding her through the calm of the night. A warm glow surrounded her, as if the light of the stars themselves had folded in around her like a comforting quilt. The moon, still keeping watch over the sleeping sky, cast a soft glow that danced across the ground, and Elara, still nestled deep in the embrace of the willow, felt as though she were floating in a sea of dreams. The peace of the night seemed endless, and in this moment, Time itself slowed to a crawl. "The leaves remember," the willow whispered from the depths of her dream, its voice now as soft as the air itself. "They remember the stories, the dreams of every star who has rested beneath them." Elara felt a wave of warmth, knowing that she was a part of that gentle memory, part of the peaceful rhythm that the willow spoke of. Each leaf, each whisper of wind, held the stories of 1,000 nights, 1,000 dreams. And in this moment she too had become one with the sky, with the stars, with the willow and its stories. The stars' dreams wrapped around her like a soft embrace, and Elara knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. Safe, calm, and a part of the grand adventure of the night. As Elara continued to drift deeper into the peaceful embrace of the night, the world around her seemed to blur and blend into one harmonious lullaby. The stars, now resting softly behind their clouds, seemed to sing a song of distant memories, each twinkle a note of a dream that had been shared, a wish made in the silence of the universe. The willow's voice was now like a whisper in the breeze, a soft, comforting hum that surrounded her as she lay cradled in the arms of the night. For a moment, Elara could feel the weight of the sky itself, soft and gentle, like a blanket that covered everything from the trees to the stars to her very soul. The wind carried a faint, sweet scent, the smell of distant dreams, as if the night itself was breathing her to sleep. And as she lay there, floating between the waking world and the land of dreams, Elara could feel something incredible, a deep connection to everything around her, from the stars above to the roots of the willow tree beneath her. "You are a part of all of this," the willow's voice whispered, as if it had always been there, watching over her. "The stars, the wind, the clouds, they all share a piece of you, just as you share a piece of them." Elara smiled softly in her sleep, feeling the truth of the willow's words deep within her heart. She was a part of the night, a part of the stars' dreams, and part of the gentle rhythms that wove together the fabric of the world. The universe was vast, yes, but in that moment, it felt small. Small enough to hold her gently in its arms, a quiet traveler drifting peacefully toward rest. As Elara sank deeper into the dreamscape, the air around her seemed to become even softer, and the light of the stars, still hidden behind their cloud blankets, flickered gently in the distance. The moon, a steady guardian in the sky, watched over all of them, casting a silvery glow that made everything seem still and serene. Elara could feel herself floating, weightless, carried by the rhythm of the night, as if she were one of the stars herself, resting after a long journey. "Rest, little one," the willow's voice whispered, now barely a breath in the wind. "The night has been long, and the stars will need their time to rest. And so will you." Elara's body relaxed even further, the warmth of the willow's embrace like the softest blanket tucking her in. The world around her was quiet, almost too quiet, yet peaceful. Every rustle of the leaves was a reminder that the world was still turning, still alive, and that she was a part of it. She felt so small in the grand scheme of things, yet at the same time, she felt like she belonged. The willow's branches seemed to rock her more gently now, as if they were a lullaby in themselves, a soothing motion that guided her into a deeper, more peaceful sleep. Elara's breathing slowed, each inhale and exhale in harmony with the night around her. She felt no fear, no worry, only the gentle pull of sleep, drawing her into the dream world. In that moment, she realized that sleep was not just rest. It was a journey, just like the stars' quiet drift through the sky. A journey to places of peace, of dreams, and of wonder. And Elara was ready to take that journey, to join the stars in their restful dance across the night sky. Elara's world softened even more as she slipped deeper into sleep, her thoughts fading like the last whispers of a dream. The sky above her, once filled with the twinkling stars, now seemed like a quiet, gentle ocean, its waves barely noticeable, just a slow, rhythmic ebb and flow. She felt herself floating on the quiet currents of the night, surrounded by the peaceful, ever-present lull of the willow's song. As she drifted, Elara thought she could hear the stars themselves whispering in their sleep, a soft chorus of dreams and stories shared between them. Each star, tucked into its cloud bed, had a secret, a story, a wish that was only for the night. She imagined them dreaming of faraway lands, of worlds she would never know, and yet somehow she felt connected to them, part of the same great, endless story. "The stars will always be here, little one," the willow's voice murmured, soft and reassuring. "They will shine for you when you wake, and when you rest, they will rest with you." Elara smiled in her sleep, feeling the warmth of the willow's words in her heart. She was part of something vast, something magical, and the stars, the tree, the wind, they were all part of her just as she was part of them. She was no longer just a listener of stories. She was a dreamer, a traveler in the world of sleep, where the stars whispered their secrets and the wind carried her dreams across the night. As the willow's branches swayed, Elara felt a final, gentle embrace, like a soft hug from the world itself. She was safe, she was loved, and she was ready to join the stars in their peaceful slumber. The willow's branches swayed ever so gently, as if it were rocking Elara to sleep, a lullaby that sang only for her. Her breathing slowed, becoming one with the night. The sky above, now entirely dark and calm, wrapped its arms around her as the stars rested behind their cloud pillows. Elara could feel the peaceful rhythm of the world in her heart, the endless dance of the seasons, the sky, and the earth. Everything was in perfect harmony. She imagined herself among the stars now, drifting softly through the vastness of the night sky, surrounded by the gentle, swirling clouds. The moon glowed softly, watching over all the stars as they slept, and Elara, like the stars, found her own place to rest in the quiet universe. She wasn't alone. She was part of something bigger than herself, something that stretched far beyond the boundaries of the garden and the Whispering Willow. "The stars," the willow whispered, its voice soft like a breath in the night, "are waiting for you, Elara. They always have been. And one day, when the time comes, you will join them, not as a dreamer, but as one who has danced through the night sky." The thought filled Elara with peace, and as her mind drifted deeper into sleep, she imagined herself swirling among the stars, a tiny spark in the vast, peaceful sky. She knew that her dreams, like the stars, would always be there, waiting for her. And she would always be a part of the night, a part of the endless adventure that unfolded in the stillness of sleep. The wind whispered once more, a soft, soothing sound that wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Elara let go, surrendering to the quiet pull of sleep, knowing that the stars would keep their gentle watch over her until morning. As Elara's last thoughts faded like the gentle ripples of a dream, the night around her settled into perfect silence. The willow's branches had stilled, now only a soft, invisible presence, holding her in the embrace of its memory. Above, the stars rested, their faint twinkles like the last whispers of a song carried far across the sky. The clouds, having tucked the stars in for their slumber, now floated lazily across the heavens, rocking the sky like a cradle. Elara's dreams drifted further, soft and peaceful, as though she had become one with the very fabric of the night. The moon, a quiet guardian in the dark, watched over the slumbering stars and the sleeping world below. The entire sky seemed to be holding its breath, waiting, as if the night were a story unfolding, with Elara as a quiet, treasured part of its plot. The willow had whispered its final words, and now it was only the wind that spoke. The wind carried no words, only the soft breath of the world itself, the slow, steady hum of life as it rested. And in that hum, Elara felt safe, held and loved. She could hear the stars, now fully asleep, their soft snoring gentle in the air. They too had learned the secret that rest was not the end, but the beginning of new journeys, new adventures, and new dreams. Just like Elara, they would rise again, shining brightly for those who were awake, sharing their stories, their wishes, and their quiet light. The world was full of stories, but it was time for sleep now, for the sky, the stars, the trees, and Elara herself. And as she lay there, wrapped in the comfort of the night, she knew that tomorrow, when she woke, the stars would still be there, and the willow would be waiting, ready to share another secret, another story. The night whispered softly, as Elara's dreams took her into the peaceful, endless sky. Sweet dreams.